Hi, I'm Olivia,
Hi, I'm Maggie.
and this is Girls Talk Film. This is a podcast about movies, and every week we pick 3 films that share a similar theme, tone, genre, setting, type of character, and we compare and contrast.
And this week, I am so excited because
This is Maggie's episode.
this week, if you can tell by my shirt, we are talking about anime.
I'm really excited because you're so excited.
If you couldn't tell, I am a huge anime nerd. I love watching anime. I've tried to get Olivia into anime. I'm semi-successful.
You've shown me some good ones.
Yeah.
You've all the anime that I've watched and enjoyed has been recommended by Maggie. I'm not a huge anime person. There are some that I really like and then some that are very popular that I've started and just couldn't get into. I just don't think I'm quite attuned to it yet, but I'm getting there. I'm working on it.
So for those of you who don't know, anime refers to the Japanese industry of animated movies and TV shows. It started, it started as early as like the early 20th century, but it really took off in the 1960s. And since then, it has really become like an international thing. However, it is originated in Japan, and that's like kind of where that industry is based in.
Yes, if I'm not wrong, anime specifically refers to animation made in Japan.
Yes.
And there have been American anime style animations that have been inspired by anime, but they don't quite count as anime.
Yeah, so a really popular example is like anyone who's watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, everyone thinks that that's an anime because it has that more like traditional anime look, but it was a Western animated show.
Gotcha.
So it's actually not anime.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, so do you want to name like, out of the very few you've seen, do you think you have like a favorite anime?
I definitely have a favorite anime, and I think you know what it is. My favorite anime is Berserk.
It's a great one.
Maggie recommended it to me probably like a year ago now, and I binged it all in a day. Loved it. I love Berserk. I also like Death Note. Mm-hmm. I like Chainsaw Man, and I like Kakegurui on Netflix. That one's like a fun one.
I like to consider myself a pretty big fan.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've seen a lot of them.
I have an anime tattoo. Yeah, I have seen a lot of them. I haven't seen like some of like the core ones. So like I've yet to start One Piece. Sorry.
Well, isn't that also 2,000 episodes?
It's like 1,000 and counting. Yeah.
That's insane, frankly.
Apparently it's a really amazing show, and I don't deny it. It's just one of those things where like I tend to binge watch anime.
Yeah.
Like I'll start an anime and I'm like, oh, I like this. I have to watch as much as possible. And so I know if I did that to One Piece, I would probably like rot away in my room.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love watching anime. I got into it like pretty recently, I'm not going to lie. Like maybe like 5 years ago. Just because when I went to high school, there were a lot of people who, a lot of different groups in my high school. But like,
I think we all had that one group.
If you watched anime, it was like the Scarlet Letter. Like you were literally an outcast. So like, but like the thing is, as I got older, I especially like then studying film, like animation is a tool.
Yes.
Like it's a medium, it's a form of art. And I was like, yeah, why am I like limiting myself to like all the amazing stories out there?
So true.
Yeah. Like why? Because they're from Japan and they're animated. That's so like saying it out loud, you realize how stupid you sound.
100%.
And again, like some of, I think the best storytelling ever that I've ever seen has been in some anime. Some of mine are Attack on Titan. I love Cowboy Bebop. I literally have a tattoo from Cowboy Bebop. I love Samurai Champloo. I love Mob Psycho 100. Just those are some of like my all-time favorites. But I love like a good romance anime too. Like it's such a diverse scope too.
Yeah.
Like there's romance, there's horror, there's action, there's comedy, there's like coming of age animes. It's really such an untapped market still. I mean, I know it's way more popular in the US than it really ever has been before.
Huge, yeah.
But it's still so underappreciated in my mind. To anyone who's not seen anime yet, don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
100% agreed. And I really, really loved the 3 movies that we watched this week. This is one of, in my opinion, quality-wise, our best lineups.
Oh, I would 100% agree. These 3 movies, not only did they have an insane impact on anime, animation, filmmaking, but they're just such incredibly told stories.
Yes.
So the 3 movies we're talking about today are Akira, Perfect Blue, and Howl's Moving Castle. We
like 3 bangers.
Yeah, we really tried to, again, like, I was kind of like picking the majority of these movies because again, like, I'm more familiar with anime than Olivia
My
is.
one input thing was that we have to do a Ghibli. So I grew up watching Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki. I watched Spirited Away once when I was a kid. It terrified me, of course. That one I had to
come back to.
That one I had to come back to as an adult, and then that immediately became my favorite Ghibli film.
I love there's that hot debate where it's like Studio Ghibli or Ghibli. It's Ghibli, I'm pretty sure.
I oscillate between the two.
I say Ghibli. Sorry if that's wrong. That's where like the anime heads are gonna be like, you don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm Maggie, you don't even know, and I guess I'm saying this to our listeners as well. I am terrified for what the comments on this are going to be. So please be kind to us. We're not experts and we're not claiming to be.
No. I'm claiming to be a semi-expert, but maybe that'll bite me in the ass.
To me, you're an expert.
Thank you. So our first movie is Akira, and it was made in 1988. It is a sci-fi film. It is directed and written by Katsuhiro Otomo. I'm going to try my best with the names, you guys, so give me a break if I am kind of butchering them.
Yeah, apologies.
Katsuhiro Otomo, who also wrote the manga that the film is based off of.
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, the film was made before he finished the manga.
It was right smack in the middle of the volumes coming out. So actually, I'm pretty sure he's gone on record of saying that these making the movie had a really like large impact on how the manga ended.
That makes
because
sense.
like he realized like there's so much potential in like so many different characters, and I think a lot of people have said like the volumes after the movie Akira came out are like even better than the original, like when it was still coming out. So it's kind of cool that the movie and the manga both kind of impacted each other.
Yeah, that's
very
really
rare.
Cool.
So yeah, again, it's based off of the manga by the same name, and the film was co-written by Izo Hashimoto.
Yes, Akira originally came out in Japan in 1988, and then in 1989 it was released in the United States by Streamline Pictures as a limited release. And Akira is widely credited as the film that introduced anime to Western audiences.
Yes, so we're going to go into like a little bit of a deep dive. There's a YouTuber and his name is Super Eye Patch Wolf, and he has a great video that like really breaks this down. So I would say watch his
Definitely
video.
check that out.
Yeah.
He really goes into detail on like the impact and the history of Akira.
Yeah, but we'll give like the Spark Notes version. So long story short, in the 1980s, Japan had this really big economic boom. And at the same time, in the 1980s, again, anime started really in the 1960s in Japan. So like anime had kind of found its footing by then, but there was no like real standard look or precedent like anime has today.
Yes. I mean, you can even see that a little bit in Akira. The style of the characters is completely dissimilar to the anime style that we're used to.
Right. So basically there was all this money and there were all these manga writers and anime creators that just had like basically an unlimited market of like creativity. Like they basically just do whatever they wanted because there was no like standard that they needed to follow. And because of that, we got like really incredible, like fucking crazy artistic movies in this time. And they call the 80s the golden age of anime. So Akira was one of these films that came out in the late 1980s. And literally it blew up. Because think about it. You have a movie that's animated that wasn't it like animated with more like images in each frame or something like that?
I couldn't say the number off the top of my head, but I believe there were more images per frame than was typical in
Like, than the
Japanese animation.
standard.
Than the standard, which is why the action and the movement in Akira looks so fluid even today.
Yeah, so the film just exploded internationally, and not only did it show people that animation could be used like as a tool to enhance your story rather than just like a medium of art, because that's what Akira does. I mean, it uses the images to tell the story in such a creative way. But also, it really showed people, especially in the US and, you know, in the West, that animation isn't just for children. Because Akira is not a kid's movie.
No, Akira is very much an adult film and has some genuinely really disturbing imagery.
Yeah. And so, like, think about it. Like, in the US, where Disney and, like, you know, Universal were coming out with like all these kids cartoons.
There wasn't really adult animation yet in the US.
So far and few between, and none of them were blockbusters like Akira turned out to be. So not only does this movie have such an impact on like Japan and the animation, like that, but just in film in general, that motorcycle shot, the iconic Akira slide, I mean, once you see it in movies, you'll never be able to unsee it.
I think in every single Mission Impossible movie, they do an Akira
Mission
slide.
Impossible. They did it in Nope, which was the Jordan Peele movie. Yeah, I mean, like, seriously, once you watch Akira and you see that shot, it's going to pop up everywhere.
There are so many images from Akira that have been recreated in sci-fi and action movies. And truly, this was my first time watching Akira. I had seen like a scene or two from it, but this was my first time watching Akira full out. And one, I loved it. It's incredible.
Beautiful.
And two, there are so much imagery that I'm recognizing as the movie's going on, and then realizing that, oh, Akira is actually probably where those images have been not copied, but inspired by.
Yeah, that's the OG. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I couldn't be more excited to talk about this movie. And keep in mind, this is a very, very convoluted plot.
Yes.
So we're going to kind of give like a general summary of the plot.
Our summary covers the major plot beats. Mm-hmm. There are let me think of the number, 1 million side plots and like little one-off plot threads that we're just, not only are we not entirely sure what everything means, but that would actually just take all day to go through all of them. So we're just sticking to the main plot here.
Yeah, we're really not going to do it justice. So like, please go watch Akira.
Yes, you really should.
Yeah.
And coming from someone who's not like an anime head, you should watch Akira. It's pretty incredible.
All right, so let's get into it. So the film takes place in Neo Tokyo in the year 2019. It is a sprawling metropolis built after the mysterious destruction of Tokyo in 1988, which triggered World War III. The city is plagued by crime and political unrest. Our main character is Kaneda Shotaro, and he is a teenager who leads this bike gang, and they're called the Capsules. And we meet him while the Capsules are engaged in a battle with a rival gang, and they're called the Clowns.
Yes, it's very Clockwork Orange warriors, like these violent gangs of teens run the streets. Everything's kind of dirty. There's political unrest. There's like a protest going on at the same time this is happening.
Yeah, this is a very like popular style, this like cyberpunk kind of thing.
I mean, again, Akira is, I think, credited as really inventing the cyberpunk genre.
Yeah,
and I love cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I just have to say, like, from the opening shot, this old animation just scratches such an itch in my brain.
It is so beautiful. I actually, when I started watching the film, I started watching the subtitled version, and then about 10 minutes in switched to the dubbed version because I'm like, I actually just need to take in all of the imagery, and reading the subtitles was just distracting me from really engaging with the visuals, which are some of the most incredible animated visuals I have ever seen.
It's the OG for a reason. Yeah. Also, I know people are probably like, I'm sure a lot of like really big anime fans, this is like a hot debate in anime, like sub versus dub. Like I prefer to watch dub for the majority of the time. Again, just because like you, I like to like really take in the visuals. I understand why people prefer sub, and some shows I do prefer sub, but like give us a break, guys. Like sometimes it's just easier to watch it in the dub, especially with a movie like Akira where the visuals are so impressive, but also like the story is so complex. You kind of need to hear it in your native language.
100%.
So don't bite our heads off when we say we watch things in dub.
So during this fight that Kaneda and his gang are engaged in, Kaneda's best friend Tetsuo crashes his motorcycle after nearly hitting a strange ghostly child. And this child is named Takashi. And he looks like mini Frankenstein.
Yeah, he looks like if like Benjamin Button was in like Neo Tokyo.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That's so it.
Yeah.
And this kid, like he's with an adult. They're clearly running and hiding from something. We learn pretty quickly that Takashi, the child, has just escaped a government laboratory with the aid of a government resistance organization.
Yeah.
So this is a child who's like, I mean, we learn later, a little bit of a spoiler, has been like experimented on by the government.
Yes. And I would really say that like this film, we start out with Kaneda, but like Tetsuo and Kaneda kind of share the role of the main character.
Yes.
This story is about the two of them.
Yes. And it's pretty immediately established that Kaneda is the leader of this gang and Tetsuo is the gang's weak link.
Yes.
He's the one who always gets caught. He's the one they always have to save. He's kind of hot-headed and not really as good at being in this biker gang as the other guys, and he's also very, very jealous of Kaneda and his leadership qualities.
And it's important to note that Kaneda and Tetsuo have been like best friends since they were boys together in a like foster home, orphan home, you can only assume.
Yeah.
So yeah. Before Takashi and this resistance member can get away, the military immediately intervenes. They seize Takashi, arrest Kaneda and his gang, and they take Tetsuo, who is like seriously injured after crashing his motorcycle, into custody. While they're in jail, Kaneda meets Kei, and she is an activist with this resistance movement. And Kaneda tricks the authorities into like releasing her with his gang. So he kind of like saves her from getting caught.
Yeah, it's being like, oh no, she's part of us, where the police just see them as like, okay, like troublemaking kids. And her actually being a part of like a government resistance terrorist group.
Right.
She would have been kept there for a lot longer.
I love that scene when they're like showing Kaneda's like ID and he's like all tough, and then they like pan up to him and he's like trying to do his best like church boy act.
Yeah,
it's so funny. There's a lot of like small comedic moments in this movie.
Definitely.
For something that's pretty dark.
Yes, and trust me when I say I was so not expecting how dark we get.
No, yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included, like seeing, first of all, I think you can agree with me when like they introduced Kaneda and Tetsuo, I was like, which one's Akira? I was like, where's Akira?
Right. I'm like, well, I thought Akira was the main guy.
Yeah. But seeing like the poster and like very limited like shots from this movie, I thought it was about like a biker gang.
Same.
So while this is happening with Kaneda and Kei at the police station, we cut to a very secret government facility where Colonel Shikishima and his head of research, Dr. Onishi, have discovered that Tetsuo actually possesses a very powerful psychic ability, which is very similar to Akira, who is the titular
character.
Yes. Akira is an Esper who was responsible for Tokyo's destruction in 1988. So the film opens with this like giant explosion in Tokyo.
Yes. And I really just would be remiss to at least not mention how deeply tied this film seemed to me to Japanese history. The visual of the explosion that opens the film is unmistakably similar to an atomic bomb explosion. So while we learn that Akira was this child who had psychic abilities who caused this explosion, I mean, the entire film is truly about rebuilding after mass destruction and then the preventions that have to be put in place to prevent further mass destruction. Oh, and also an Esper is in this film someone who has ESP, or like someone who has psychic or telekinetic abilities.
Yes. That is like a very, very popular thing in anime. Like,
okay,
lots of shows, lots of movies. I think it's a very popular thing. And again, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. But I think a lot of people would agree that like the majority of stories told in anime have some sort of like supernatural, sci-fi, mystical, magical element to them. Like even like stories that are like pretty normal will have some sort of supernatural like ability with them.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of them have to do with like psychics and like people with ESP. So when they discover that Tetsuo has these like latent psychic abilities, the colonel considers killing him to prevent like another destruction of Tokyo happening. But for now, they're just kind of keeping him at bay in this facility.
Once he wakes up, however, Tetsuo escapes from the hospital and makes his way towards the Capsule's gang hangout. And realizing that he's now on the run from the government because he escaped one of their facilities, he also at this point has no idea about his abilities that have kind of been awoken through these tests that they've given him in the facility. So he's just like, why do I have a headache? So Tetsuo decides to steal Kaneda's motorcycle and tries to flee the city with his girlfriend Kaori, but they're ambushed by the Clowns gang, who the Capsules were fighting in the opening scenes.
So Kaneda actually witnesses Tetsuo steal his bike, and he and his gang arrive just in time to rescue Tetsuo and Kaori. But Tetsuo begins to suffer like a migraine, and he also starts hallucinating these like rapid images.
I loved the editing in this scene.
And he also hears the name Akira.
Yes.
So only like a few seconds later, the military finds Tetsuo. They arrive and they take him back to the hospital.
And the Capsules, like Kaneda and the rest of the gang, are so confused. When I tell you, the military pulls up in tanks.
Right. They're like, wait, whoa. Like, it's just a fight, you guys.
Yeah, what's going on? But they are there to take Tetsuo back to the government facility. So Kaneda reconnects with Kei, who he met in jail days earlier. She's the resistance activist. And he joins her resistance group because he learns from them about the government's experiments on espers, and the resistance group plans to break into their facility and rescue Tetsuo and their other test subjects, which are mostly children.
I think they're exclusively children.
Yeah. And the whole reason behind why the government is experimenting on child espers is because, well, okay, they're children, they can be controlled.
Yes.
Where someone a little bit older, maybe like Tetsuo, who's more of a teenager, they're more nervous about them rebelling.
And I mean, we'll get into it later, but like Tetsuo's like the fucking worst person.
Actually, the worst person
this could happen to. Like, not only is he a teenager and harder to control, but he's also like extremely hot-headed and insecure and like resentful and hateful.
Yes.
So we cut back to the hospital. Tetsuo is put to sleep and made to experience these very disturbing hallucinations. When he wakes up, he attempts to escape the hospital using these newfound psychic abilities, and he basically is like killing anybody who stands in his way.
Anyone and everyone. It is a bloodbath.
And these hallucinations are created by the other child espers that we kind of like meet earlier in the film.
Yes. And I believe the purpose of that was they were essentially trying to scare him into submission with the hallucinations.
That's what I always took it as too. Like they're trying to like intimidate him. And it does not work.
Oh no.
Yeah, he gets mad. Like this is where you're really like, oh, he's the bad guy. I mean, okay, well, he's not the bad guy. Like I hate to simplify it like that.
No, it's really him and Kaneda are foils, and they're both main characters. But
this is where
we start to realize that, oh, this is going to end very poorly.
The resistance group has infiltrated the hospital. They locate Tetsuo, and Kaneda explains to him that they're here to rescue him. He's like, hey, buddy, I'm here to come get you. And Tetsuo completely betrays his friend.
Tetsuo is like triggered too.
Yeah. Oh, he's mad.
His whole thing that he's very resentful over is that Kaneda always feels like he has to rescue him, and Tetsuo is constantly insisting, like, no, I can handle myself.
Yeah, I don't need saving.
Yeah, and now, especially when he's realized that he's incredibly powerful, this just infuriates him.
So he not only retorts to Kaneda, he's like, I don't need you anymore, but he states that he's also leaving to find Akira, who we figure out is being held in a cryogenic storage underneath the Olympic Stadium in Neo-Tokyo. Mm-hmm. So now
they've basically like preserved this kid that caused this massive destruction.
Yes, and we keep in mind we haven't laid eyes on Akira yet. All we know is that he is like in maximum security.
Yeah, and that he's this insanely powerful psychic being.
So, desperate to find and both stop Tetsuo, the colonel places Neo-Tokyo under martial law and directs the military to destroy Tetsuo at any cost.
Yeah, at this point, he's already killed like a ton of people.
And he is like now in the streets just causing
rampaging
havoc
through the city.
Yeah, and this is exactly what the colonel was hoping to avoid, was the destruction of Tokyo.
Yeah, so Tetsuo is leaving a trail of destruction through the city on his way to the stadium. And he even stops at, we didn't have this in our notes, but he even stops at like a local bar that he used to hang out in.
Yeah.
And murders one of the other members of the capsules.
Yeah, he's just clearly unstable.
Yeah. When he arrives at Akira's cryogenic storage facility, he exhumes him only to find that Akira's remains have been sealed away in jars.
Freaky.
Yeah.
This was so freaky. First of all, this whole sequence of him just like destroying the city is not only like insanely animated, but it's so violent too.
Really violent.
Yeah. And it's scary. Like Tetsuo is like laughing maniacally, and he has this evil red cape that he's adorned, and he has the like anime spiky hair. That's also like such an anime thing. When like the characters powered up, they have like their hair standing up. So it's very, this whole sequence of him like finally arriving at the stadium, and then when you see like Akira in these jars, it's like, oh, I don't know, it just gave me goosebumps.
No, it is. And also because Tetsuo is so unpredictable, it's how is he going to react to this?
Right.
His whole goal was to find Akira, and then basically he wants Akira to teach him how to control and master his powers.
Because they also tell Tetsuo, like, you won't be able to control this power. It's going to eat you alive.
And
well,
Kaneda arrives and fights Tetsuo with a laser rifle, and Colonel Shikishima fires an orbital weapon at him from a distance, destroying his arm. Tetsuo begins to lose control of his abilities and mutates into a giant mass of expanding flesh. The visual of this, and it goes on for a while. Is so disgusting and disturbing.
But so cool.
No, it's so dope. Like, I loved it. And it's also when his body is morphing and changing and his skin is ripping, and he starts to panic. He starts saying, help me, help me.
Yeah, because the thing that they told him would happen happens. Mm-hmm. So it immediately starts consuming the entire stadium. Mm-hmm. And
Kaneda is also consumed in this mass of flesh that used to be Tetsuo.
So to stop Tetsuo from consuming everything around him, the other Espers actually revive Akira, who creates a singularity and draws Tetsuo and Kaneda into another dimension. This is the point of the movie where I was really locking in because I was so confused. I was literally like watching my screen like I had a test on this thing tomorrow. This is like the kind of movie I genuinely feel like the first time there's just so much thrown at you. You have to watch it again.
I felt very similarly watching this to how I felt watching 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time, where I'm like, am I following? Kind of. Am I understanding? No.
Right.
But am I enjoying? Absolutely.
Yes. So yeah, this is the second half of this movie, particularly when Akira is revived and creates this kind of like alternate space. That is the point where I was like, write that down. Like I was taking notes so hard because I was really starting to like lose my way.
The Espers teleport Shikishima to a safe distance as the singularity pretty much destroys Neo Tokyo. Once again, so this is now the second destruction of the city.
Right, caused by Akira.
Yes. And the Espers also agree to rescue Kaneda, knowing that they will most likely not return to this dimension. I don't know, anywhere is probably better than that facility where they're just tested on.
That's the one thing I still am like a little confused on in this movie. And maybe for those who have read the manga, I have not. So maybe it's clarified there. I can't really tell what the relationship is between the Colonel and the Espers because in the beginning, Takashi is escaping and it kind of seems like he wants to escape. But then they kind of seem like they care for the Colonel and it kind of seems like he cares for them, but he's experimenting on them. That is like the part that I still am a little confused
feel like
by.
That's definitely something that would be expanded on in the manga.
I actually really do want to read the manga because the movie, I would say, I don't want to say it's like a Spark Notes version, but I think the movie is a very general...
People say that.
Yeah, I think the manga goes really into, especially with like Tetsuo and Kaneda, their dynamic. And I think it probably answers a lot of questions that the movie can't.
I would be very interested in reading the manga at some point.
Same. It's only like 6 volumes.
Yeah, I mean, I would just to have my knowledge of this story expanded a little bit beyond the film.
Totally. While in the singularity, Kaneda experiences Tetsuo's and the other Espers' memories. The Espers then return Kaneda to Neo Tokyo and inform him that Akira will take Tetsuo to safety. After consuming really 95% of Neo Tokyo, the singularity then kind of like fizzles up and disappears, and water floods the crater that's left in its place.
Yes, Kaneda discovers that Kei has survived and they ride off into the ruins. Meanwhile, in an unspecified plane of reality, Tetsuo introduces himself and triggers the creation of a universe. Finally, he transcended the limits of humanity, essentially. And it's quite a haunting final moment.
It's so like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, again, I've started this movie being like, all right, it's about like bikers and it's probably like a little coming of age with a little bit of like a tough outsiders kind of story. And
in this cool cyberpunk universe.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, we're talking about like God and like humanity and like, you know, psychic limitations. Like,
that is honestly my one gripe with the film is I feel like throughout, and again, our more basic summary really does not touch on the amount of like plot threads and ideas that are introduced.
We're leaving out so many things. Like there's one point, Kei has a very important part in this story, especially like with the Espers. Like,
yeah, so that they kind of use her as like they go into her mind and kind of use her as a vehicle to do things. And sometimes.
I think they like even mentioned that she might have some sort of latent psychic like ability. So like there's so much we didn't explore with her. There's other characters that we meet that we didn't even touch on, but this podcast is already pretty long, so we can't get too into it.
But yeah, no, that would honestly be my only gripe with it, is I feel like there are a lot of ideas that are introduced and not really explored. That is probably a symptom of the fact that this is an adaptation of a much more detailed version of this story in the manga.
Yeah,
which is, again, why I would be interested in reading it.
That is one thing that, as a fan of anime and a fan of manga, I do read manga like here and there, but I prefer to watch anime. That is something that like always kind of, and I know that this is the culture, but it always does bother me a little bit because sometimes I'll watch a show and I'll be like, or a movie and I'll be like, that wasn't really clear. And then I'll talk to like my friend. They're like, oh, well, it's really clear in the manga. And I'm like, okay, well, but I'm not reading the manga.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching the show and I'm watching the movie. So like, why can't they make it clear here? But also I understand that like you can't take 6 volumes, very thick volumes of manga and put it into one movie.
No, it's the same. I mean, really, even any sort of book to film adaptation, it's always like, no, but what the character was really thinking in that moment was. And it's like, well, there's really no way that they could have included that.
Right. There'll never be like a perfect adaptation. But yeah, I think I will like kind of go pick up the manga at
Yeah.
a Barnes and Noble, because I really did enjoy the movie.
Loved
and
this.
apparently the manga is like a way more like just a way deeper dive into these characters and also like the world that they live in, which is already just so interesting in the film. So seeing it even more further explored in the manga, like, just sounds like a really great time to me.
Same. Yeah, no, again, really, really enjoyed this film to an extent that I don't know if I was entirely expecting to. So I went into this week only having watched Howl's Moving Castle before. I had never seen Akira or Perfect Blue, but I kind of knew a little bit about what they were both about. I was expecting Perfect Blue to be my favorite film of the week, fully. It's very up my alley, and I really liked Perfect Blue. Akira, I'm like, I loved this. I actually loved this. I went back a few days later after watching it for the first time and watched half of it again because I just feel like there's so much there that you can't get on a first watch. And I'm excited to watch it for a third time.
It's a great film. And again, you really can't watch it without appreciating the cultural impact that this film has had on so many movies, anime, cartoons, everything to come after it.
I mean, there's just so much that we wouldn't have if not for Akira.
Yeah. So I give it a 7.5 out of 10 just for a first watch. I guarantee it'll probably go up with future watches, but it's a large pill to swallow, that film.
It is. I'm going to go 8. I could see it going up to like a 9 or a 10 on future watches. And just there's definitely a few hour-long YouTube videos I'm excited to watch about it.
Yes, definitely.
So our next film, we are going in chronological order this episode.
Yes.
Our next film is Perfect Blue. It came out in 1997. It's a thriller that was directed by Satoshi Kon, who I believe this was his directorial debut.
He is one of my favorite directors.
I know of Satoshi Kon.
Yes. If you know, like, Paprika or
Millennium Actress.
Or one of my favorites, which is Tokyo Godfathers. He is like one of the icons in like anime movies.
It was written by Sadayuki Murai, and it was based on the novel Perfect Blue, A Complete Metamorphosis by Yoshikazu Takeuchi.
Good job.
Thank you.
I didn't know it was based off a novel. I really, really want to read the novel because
Yeah.
I fucking love this movie.
This is a story that is told through filmic devices.
Yes. Yes.
So while I would be interested in reading the novel, I can't see the experience of reading it being all that similar to watching the film.
I'm so glad you brought that up because, and it's a big reason why I also love Satoshi Kon because he is like the king of this. Like, first of all, he loves like surrealism and expressionism, and he loves.
And boy, is this a surrealist film.
Oh my gosh.
Again, we're going to give a summary that I truly don't think captures the experience of watching this film. This is a incredibly disjointed, frenetic, so much of it is told through the editing, experience that by the end of it, you're almost dizzy with what is real, what is not real. So again, just telling a summary of it does not capture the experience, again, because it is so reliant on filmic devices as just storytelling tools.
No, please go watch it. Quick story time. When I was in college, I took a film course. I don't remember what it was called, but the course was all about films that played with our perception of reality. And I wrote my final essay on Perfect Blue because this film does it no better than anyone I know. And something I love about this, and again, this is why I love Satoshi Kon, is because he uses the animation to his advantage.
Yes.
This film cannot be done live action, in
No.
my opinion. Like, the animation is really what plays with your perception of reality and with Mima, our main character. And I just think it's so, so well done. I think the visuals are so striking. And I think, again, like, if this movie was done live action, would it be bad? I don't think so. But
I think especially today, probably they could do it in
could
live
be,
action.
it's possible, but the animation and the way it's edited and it's so fragmented and like it almost feels like you're given whiplash sometimes. It's so, so well done. So the movie premiered at the 1997 Fantasia Film Festival, and it received a wide release in Japan in February 1998 and a limited release in the US in 1999.
Our main character is Mima Kirigo. She is a pop idol in a girl group called Cham. Weird name.
So like,
I really couldn't get over the fact that they're called Cham.
it's so like Japan culture though. Like,
No,
you know what I mean?
but I'm like, Cham.
Yeah.
Okay. But Mima is in the process of changing careers to become an actress. Many of her fans are very dismayed by this change, particularly an obsessive fan who goes by the online alias Me Mania. And we see him pretty early on. His design is super creepy.
I love how he's almost like a creature.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't even look human. Yes, and he is basically like Mima's stalker.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So, following directions from a fan letter, Mima discovers a website called Mima's Room, which contains public diary entries that are written from her perspective. And they basically record her daily life and private thoughts in great detail. And she's reading them and is getting incredibly disturbed because they're very accurate.
Yes, it's down to like today I went to set and I said this, and it'll be like things she actually said on set. And then it's like, I had this lunch and I threw away my fork and I did this. And you can tell at first she's kind of like, oh,
like
this
a little
is
amused.
fun. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fan mail. And then she's like, wait, what the fuck? Like, this is exactly step by step what I did today.
Exactly. Like, she is being watched.
Yes.
So Mima confides in her manager, who is a former pop idol named Rumi, about the website, and Rumi just tells her to ignore it.
Yeah, she's basically like, oh, it's probably just some like bored fan.
Yeah.
Like she also is like, you should be like a little like happy. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very dismissive of it. And Mima is impressionable.
Yes. Yeah, she's young. You can only imagine she's probably
I
like,
think they say she's 21.
yeah, she's very young. And she also is already very like skeptical about this jump that she's made. You can tell she's kind of going back and forth. She's very conflicted. So she starts the film already kind of at a vulnerable state. And spoiler alert, it only gets worse.
Yeah.
So Mima ends up landing a minor role in a television detective show called Double Bind. However, her agent, whose name is Tadakoro, lobbies the producers and secures Mima a much larger part. Although this new role requires her to film a very graphic assault scene.
Yes. So this is where I started to become aware of, again, this was a first watch for me, of the very, very explicit feminist undertones of the film, which I was truly shocked to see that there's not a lot of literature on the feminist angle. I was really expecting that to be kind of the major takeaway of the film after I finished it.
Yeah.
So Mima's transition from pop idol to actress is really, really like dramatic to everybody around her, which is, I'm kind of watching it and I'm like, well, can't she? She can sing and act. Like, she can do both.
Right.
In the world of the film, she can't. Pop idol is very aligned with girlhood and more specifically virginity.
Yes, there's a very pure, innocent, girly image that the pipe idol is like associated with.
Yes, where being an actress, and especially now she's doing like some, you wouldn't say risque because it's an assault scene, but more
it's
explicit.
an adult, moody,
Yes.
very dramatic, serious show.
Yes. And it's quite clear throughout the film that this is the Madonna whore. The reason that her majority male fans are so mad that she's moving from pop idol to actress is because this is somehow a signal of her becoming a woman, like that she is no longer this like virginal perfect image of
Yes.
a pop idol, that she is maybe more complex than that. That is the issue that her male fans are taking with this career change.
They think that she's tainting her image.
Yes.
She gets a lot of not even fan mail. She gets a lot of like hate mail calling her like a traitor. And you pointed out something that's really interesting in the first scene, which is that when they're doing their pop show.
So the film opens with Cham performing, and their audience I thought that maybe it was like a budgetary animation reason. And then as the film went on, you realize that, oh, it was a purposeful choice. The entire audience of people watching them are men.
Yes.
And they're doing this kind of like cutesy little girl performance, and it's all men in the audience. So again, Mima is a little wary of doing this assault scene because it's graphic.
This is like her first role.
Yeah.
Keep in mind. Like,
fair enough.
She is
true.
not an established actress. So this
No.
is also something that could like break your career. Mm-hmm. What this movie is also about, which you've touched on, is also just kind of like the role of like a pop idol. And like, I said it to you off camera, but like, I love the three men who play the role of the spectator and the audience. There's these like three guys who just kind of comment on Mima's career changing
and we
throughout
cut
the whole
to
thing.
them randomly throughout the film to
Yes.
see their opinions on whatever Mima's doing.
With this assault scene, her manager Rumi objects. She is completely against it, saying it's going to like ruin her image. However, Mima accepts the role and she films the scene, which is super distressing. I was also watching this on the train, and this is the scene where I was like, maybe I shouldn't be watching this in public, because this is a rated R movie. So it's like she's fully nude. And I was like, oh, people are going to think I'm a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was watching with my phone, and all of a sudden I was like, oop, maybe I shouldn't watch this movie in public. But it's a very upsetting scene. And I love how, again, the editing is so great in this film. It's so fragmented.
When the scene starts, it's actually kind of unclear that this is a scene she's filming for a show.
Yes. That happens so much in this movie.
Yeah.
And I love how they keep like stopping and then going. And then like you see from Mima's perspective.
Yeah, there's a part where the actor who's playing the rapist
Yes.
is on top of her, and they call cut, and they're like, nope, like stay in your place. And he just goes, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. So Mima starts the scene kind of like strong, but then is very quickly
it's
upset.
It's a pretty like violent scene that she finds
Very
distressing to
violent.
film.
So between the ongoing stress of filming this TV show Double Bind, her lingering regret over leaving Cham, the pop group, and the paranoia she's experiencing from being stalked, Mima begins like having a psychological breakdown, and she starts suffering from psychosis. And this is kind of where like the second act really picks up.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, like, again, the film does a really great job playing with your perception of what's real and what's not. And I love it because we are put right in Mima's shoes. She is also confused as to what's actually happening around her and what she is like suffering in her psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I really like can't, like talking about it won't do it justice. Watch the movie.
Yeah, that's really all that we can say. So Mima is starting to struggle with distinguishing real life from her role on the show. And she starts being visited by this apparition that is a doppelganger of her formal pop idol self, who claims to be the real Mima. And that's something that we've seen a lot in her fan mail. Like people
Yes.
saying like, oh, like the real Mima wouldn't
Do this,
whatever. And she's like, what do you mean? The real Mima?
I love the repetition of the line, "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
It comes up so much throughout this movie when she's filming her show, but also it like becomes kind of this staple of like, again, it's a very prominent theme in the film.
That essentially is what
the
film
movie's
is
about. Yeah. And so this real Mima is kind of, she plays a huge role, as does this reoccurring line of "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
So people connected to her more controversial career moves, so like the screenwriter who wrote this assault scene, they are murdered.
Yeah, they begin just like being killed.
And we see them, sometimes we see them being killed, sometimes we just see them dead, and we never see the killer. Mm-hmm. So the police suspect a serial killer, but they have yet to kind of determine a motive, and they haven't really connected that these people are really tied to Mima yet.
No. Mima does a photo shoot with a photographer named Murano, who convinces her to take nude photos. And that night, Mina's apparition appears and taunts her, saying that your life was better when you were a pop idol. And she also says, you're tarnished now. You're filthy.
Yes.
So again, this is like a direct, I don't know. I really did see this movie as like, this is just like the Madonna horror complex, and like you can't win either way.
Yes.
but it's a direct correlation between being pure and virginal like a pop idol and having value. And she's saying, you're dirty, like no one will want you now because, and again, the thing is she filmed a scene. It's not about anything Mima's doing. It's about how people will see her.
Yes. So the next day, this photographer, Murano, is attacked and murdered by a pizza delivery man who is revealed to the audience to be Mima. However, then Mima wakes up in her apartment with no recollection of what happened, and she's shocked to hear that the photographer has been murdered. However, she then finds bloody clothes in her closet, and she begins to question, like, wait, did I dream that? Did I actually do it? And so this is, like, again, a great example of a scene where we are just as confused as Mima is. Like, and it's this repetition of her waking up, and we're like, okay, so wait, what is real and what is actually happening in real life? Because the photographer really was murdered.
Yeah.
And she really does find clothes in her apartment, but it's like, okay, but did she murder him? Like, or is that part a dream? But then how did the clothes get in her closet? And it's so distressing because, again, we know nothing.
Yeah.
Mima then manages to finish shooting Double Bind, and the final scene reveals that her character has dissociative identity disorder,
which just mirrors what Mima has actually been going through in her real life.
That's what, she's believing.
And this whole sequence is edited so frenetically where we're cutting between Mima filming a scene, Mima being at home, Mima questioning what's real and what's not, because it's like, is that the scene or did I dream that?
Yep.
Who is me? Who is the role? This is where you really start to lose track of what is going on here.
I love in this scene, I think they show it twice, and the first time they show it, it's reflecting Mima's real life. And then they do the scene again with the scripted lines where it's like her character in the show and it doesn't really closely reflect. And you're like, wait, so what the fuck is happening?
Oh no, it's so crazy. And also just a great detail that as Mima is kind of losing it more and more and more, her room, it gets messy. And, and every time we return back to her room, it's in a worse state of mess. And honestly, it seemed like it started actually being drawn smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yes,
like
it's suffocating.
It appears smaller every single time we return to it. So she finishes filming Double Bind, and the production wraps. Mima stays back after the filming crew leaves the studio, and Mima's stalker, Mimania, breaks in and attempts to assault and kill her. He is acting, he says, on emailed instructions from the real Mima, and his mission here is to eliminate the imposter. And Mima escapes she is able to get her hands on a hammer, and she bludgeons him and runs off.
So Rumi finds Mima backstage and brings her to her house, and this line literally gives me goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. She's in the car and Rumi goes, I have it in my notes, I'm taking you back to Mima's room. And
it's like, wait, what? Because if you're in the car, you would say, I'm taking you back to your room.
And keep in mind, Mima's room is the name of the website where Mimania has been writing all these like stalker inscriptions and talking about the real Mima and stuff. So when she says, I'm taking you back to Mima's room, oh my God, I just got goosebumps.
No, it is chilling.
It is so scary because you're like, oh shit. Like, oh shit. Because then we also see that Mima's other manager has been murdered. So it's kind of like, we know there's a killer, but it's one of those things where it's like, we still don't know who it is. And that line, you're like, oh my God, it's her. So Mima discovers that Rumi's bedroom is a replica of her own and realizes that Rumi is the one behind Mima's room and the murders. And she is the one who has been emailing the stalker Mimania and saying like, I'm the real Mima and you need to kill the imposter. Oh my God, so scary.
Rumi is really, and we've seen this throughout the film, that she's really upset that Mima has left the pop idol industry. Like, she was really encouraging her to not leave Cham.
Yes.
And Rumi developed an alternate personality of the real Mima and now seeks to destroy and replace her. And is this not so reminiscent of kind of the women that refuse to accept that they're no longer girls.
Yeah, I mean,
We also hear earlier in the film that Rumi is a former pop idol.
yes.
And again, because Mima has shedded the virgin image, she's doing these more racy scenes, she can no longer be a pop idol.
Well, again, that image, especially in Rumi's mind, is dead. Like Mima, the pop idol, the character,
Because it's
is
these
gone.
such strict boxes of
Yes.
what a pop idol can be and what like an actress can be, which mirrors like the two things that women are allowed to be.
Also, I mean, it's also so clearly just an observation on fan culture. Like,
Yeah.
so clearly.
100%.
But so with this, a chase ensues where Rumi is attempting to murder Mima. This is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and
like,
Mima she sees Rumi as Rumi sometimes, and then sometimes she'll see her as the Mima doppelganger.
I love the shot where it's Rumi. Keep in mind, she is dressed as Mima, like wearing a wig and her little costume, chasing her with a knife or something, some sort of weapon. And there's a great shot where she's running against a building.
A mirrored window.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see Mima, the illusion, but in the reflection, you can see Rumi like struggling to run with her. And oh my God, literally
it's
fucking
such
terrifying.
a great shot.
So Mima is injured in this struggle. However, Mima accidentally stabs Rumi with a mirror shard during this altercation. Rumi,
I mean, Rumi kind of like stabs herself with the mirror.
That's true.
It just happens. She gets stabbed.
yes, but I mean, Mima is pretty fucked up. Like
Yeah.
she's like stabbed in the back and the
She's been
shoulder.
stabbed like 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yes, but Rumi then runs into the street and into the path of an oncoming truck. However, Mima manages to save her from being run over at the last minute. We then cut to sometime later. Mima is now a well-known actress, and she's visiting Rumi in a mental institution. Rumi's doctor says that Rumi still believes she's a pop idol most of the time. Mima says she's learned a lot from her experiences with Rumi, and as she leaves the hospital, she overhears 2 nurses who recognize her, but they kind of are like, oh, the real Mima would never be at a place like this. She must be a lookalike.
So the last shot is Mima goes into her car and smiles at herself in the rear view mirror, and her eyes connect with where the camera is, animation, but
Yeah.
her eyes like connect with the screen, and she goes, "No, I'm the real thing."
And that's where the movie ends.
Is she?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
There's like a lot of theories that Rumi actually did kill Mima and took her place, and
Yeah.
there's so many different theories on what the ending means.
There's also theories that like both of them died after the truck hit them. But I don't know. In my opinion, this is really like a perfect psychological thriller.
It's great.
I think it does such a great job. First of all, this movie has like influenced so many Hollywood films, most famously Black Swan.
I had only heard about Perfect Blue as like, oh, well, Black Swan ripped it off. I'm not going to, and I love Black Swan. Not going to lie, I don't think it did.
It's very heavily influenced.
You can see where the influences are, but Black Swan is a very different film with a very different through line
Yes.
and different characters. And like you can see the influences, especially in the doppelganger and in the is
and
she
in
losing
the
her
visuals.
mind? Yes.
Yeah. But I think you're right, where Black Swan is kind of more about the
The
struggle of the artist.
Yes, and the pressure to achieve perfection.
Yes.
Where Perfect Blue is about identity.
Yes. But regardless, it does have a strong influence over that film,
100%.
as it does lots of other movies and pieces of media. But yeah, I think what separates this from other like Hollywood psychological thrillers that I think are great is, again, like the animation enhances the story
Yes.
so much. This film relies so heavily on its visual storytelling. And that really, in my opinion, is what makes the movie. There's a large feminist undertone within the story. And I just
Someone
I think it's great.
asked, I read somewhere that someone asked Satoshi Kon, like, oh, this is your commentary on like the pop idol industry? And he said, no, this is a movie about the transition from girl to woman and how difficult that transition is.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with like what I took from it on my viewing.
Yeah, I literally just think it's like one of my favorite like thriller movies ever.
It's really good. I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably a lot I didn't pick up on. And it's an hour and 25 minutes.
So quick.
It flies by.
Just don't watch it on NJ Transit because that was I literally was like, oh, people are going to think I'm like a creep. Great movie. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. I can't gush about it enough. I give it a 9.5.
Fair enough. I'm going to go 7.5, but I could see it going up on a subsequent watch.
All right. Now it's time to get a little bit happier.
Yes.
Get a little bit more romantic. Yeah. So our final film is Howl's Moving Castle, and it came out in 2004. It is a fantasy film directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and he is famously, if you know Miyazaki, you know that this is also a Studio Ghibli film, which is like, a lot of people say that Studio Ghibli is like the Japanese Disney. I would say, like, honestly, they're so hard to compare the two.
Yeah, I mean, especially what Disney has become.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just these like genuinely beautiful, magical animated films that are primarily directed at children. If they're not explicitly for children, because a lot of them are very complex and deal with very mature themes. But they're all told in a way that can be watched and appreciated by children.
And almost all of them, I'm pretty sure, if not all of them, have children as their protagonists.
Yes.
And also, if you know Hayao Miyazaki, you know he is the fucking GOAT.
Yes.
I mean, talk about a man who respects artistic integrity more than anything.
Talk about a man with vision.
Oh my gosh.
Even just Studio Ghibli films are just filled with these wonderful little creatures and like in these beautiful, really realized fictional universes. And every single time I watch a Ghibli film, like, how did someone come up with this?
He's such a visionary.
He really is.
He really has set the bar. And like, I know we said Akira is like the anime movie, but like Studio Ghibli like put so like they are so important in so many like historical anime moments.
I also do love how many times he said he was going to retire and then he had another idea.
Yeah.
And it's happened like 7 times.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done. And then he's like, actually, one more. So, so far, The Boy and the Heron is his last work.
Supposedly.
We'll see.
We will see. I do, I always do hope that he comes up with
I
another
do
idea
too.
because I always love to see what he comes out with.
I mean, The Boy and the Heron was fucking
Loved
great.
it. It was incredible.
So it premiered at the 2004 Venice International Film Festival and received a wide release in Japan in November of 2004. Walt Disney Pictures then distributed the English dub version in the US as a limited release in June of 2005.
Yes. And I grew up watching the dub. I watched the dub again. It's such a great dub.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
It's
I've
Christian
only seen
Bale.
it.
It's Billy Crystal. Like, it is heavy hitters as these characters.
I've actually never seen the sub.
Me neither.
Sorry, but
The dub is great.
yeah, I mean, Christian Bale as Howl.
Perfect.
Hello. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Howl's Moving Castle grossed over $220 million worldwide, which made it one of the most commercially successful Japanese films of all time.
Despite having a pretty, if I remember this correctly, had a very like limited, what is it called, campaign. Like they didn't market this movie very heavily, but it's like, I want to say like the second most successful like Studio Ghibli film.
But I mean, how can you watch this film and not immediately tell everyone in your vicinity to go watch it?
Yeah.
This is the kind of movie that is just beloved by everybody because it's so wonderful. And it also received an Academy Award nomination for Best Animated Feature, but it lost to one of the Wallace and Gromit movies.
You don't seem very happy about that.
Of course. It's Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, compared to, I like Wallace and Gromit, but
Not that much.
that should have won.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if we said it earlier, but Howl's Moving Castle is based on the novel with the same name, and it's written by Diana Wynne-Jones.
Yes, and you are currently reading it.
I am almost finished, and we'll get into it later, but the book is actually pretty different from the movie.
I've heard. So let's jump in. The film takes place in the fictional country of Ingary, which is inspired by, I think, a slew of different European cities and towns, but it is so, they're all so kind of amalgamated that it is a fantasy land. Our protagonist is Sophie, and she is a quiet young woman who works at her mother's hattery.
One day, Sophie is on her way to visit her sister and is harassed by these two soldiers in an alley. And she is rescued by the very handsome and mysterious wizard, and his name is Howl.
Yes, and immediately there is some kind of connection between them.
Yes.
Both a little romantically. And doesn't he say that he recognizes her from somewhere?
He says he's been looking for her.
Yes.
Which is important later in the plot. But yes, they immediately, I mean, Howl is like ridiculously good looking, and he also saves Sophie. So she's immediately a little enamored by him. Howl also has a reputation of like kind of capturing young girls, and like
he's a bit of a womanizer.
Yes. And there's a theory that he like steals girls' hearts, whether it's literally or like more figuratively, because he is a wizard. We don't know, but he seems pretty friendly when he interacts with Sophie.
So this interaction between Howl and Sophie draws the jealousy of the Witch of the Waste, who is in love with Howl. And she believes that Sophie has some sort of special connection to Howl. The witch comes to her hat shop one night and puts a curse on her, transforming Sophie into a 90-year-old woman. And the curse also prevents Sophie from telling anyone that she's cursed.
Yes. Keep in mind, this world that we're in is like full of magic and wizards and witches. So like the Witch of the Waste is not like an urban legend, but she's more so kind of like avoid her.
Yeah, like everyone knows of the Witch of the Waste.
Exactly, but it's a very common thing. So I just wanted to like set that up for the world that we're about to enter. I do love the character design.
I mean, in all of Miyazaki's films, the character design is always top tier.
Miyazaki has this incredible attention to detail, and he's so creative. Like, every character is so unique and distinctive and so beautifully stylized. And I think Howl's Moving Castle, really out of all of his movies, I would argue maybe Spirited Away is like a close second. I would say this is his most stylish film.
Really? I would kind of agree with you.
Just in the way that, like, especially, I guess because I'm reading the book right now and seeing the visuals in the film, I'm like, it's one of those movies that, like, yes, the book is good, but the visuals in the film are really what make it.
The visuals are sumptuous.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much sensorial detail that, like, you can smell the grass on the fields. There's this kind of it's almost a famous scene where Sophie makes breakfast.
Yep.
And the bacon sizzling and the egg, and it all just looks so yummy and good.
It's even, again, I'm going to try my hardest not to be like, well, in the book, but in the movie. But even the titular moving castle in the book is kind of just like a Victorian looking mansion.
Oh.
But in the movie,
it's like Miyazaki-fied.
It is so weird. And I love how it almost looks like it's about to break down at any minute.
Always. Like, it creaks and groans.
And it looks like it's almost this big, like, monster.
I actually have in my notes that the design of the castle, it's kind of simultaneously whimsical and fantastical, but also just like a little creepy.
Yes.
Which is why I love Miyazaki.
Yes.
Because there's always this kind of undercurrent of like strangeness that I love in all his films, and I loved when I was a kid.
Yeah. So, seeking a cure for her new curse, Sophie sets off into the countryside where she meets a sentient scarecrow and she names him Turnip Head.
He's this little bouncing scarecrow.
He's adorable. He leads her to Howl's Moving Castle. When in the castle, she meets Howl's young apprentice, whose name is Markle, and a fire demon named Calcifer, who is the source of the castle's magic. Like, basically, his fire kind of, like, fuels the moving of the castle.
Yes, and he lives in the fireplace.
Yes, and he's played by Billy Crystal, who is so good. Perfect in that role.
Calcifer makes a deal with Sophie, agreeing to help her break her curse in exchange for Sophie's help in breaking the spell that he's under, which keeps him bound to Howl and Howl's castle.
Yes.
So he is literally unable to leave.
Yes. When Hal gets home from wherever he is, Sophie announces that Calcifer has hired her as a maid because he's kind of like, who's this? Like, why are you in my house?
Old woman.
Yeah. And so she lies and she's like, oh, I'm your new cleaning lady. While this is happening, the country of Ingary has been caught up in a war with the neighboring kingdom, which has happened because of the disappearance of the other country's crown prince.
Yes, they're convinced that Ingary has kidnapped him.
Yes. Hal receives a royal summons ordering him to fight in the war. And Hal has kind of been like draft dodging this whole movie.
Yes. We learn about Hal pretty early in the movie that Hal does not like commitment.
No.
I mean, even the fact that his base is literally a moving castle kind of personifies the fact that he does not want to be tied down to anything or anyone. We actually learn later that he is contributing to the war efforts, but he just doesn't want to do it under the supervision of the monarchy.
Yes. So when he gets this royal summons, he decides to send Sophie, and he's like, you pretend to be my mother and you go to the palace in my place, and just kind of be like, my son can't fight in your war. So at the palace, Sophie then runs into the Witch of the Waste, who is the person who cursed her to look old. And the Witch of the Waste is there under the guise of meeting with the king, but she's actually there
To face punishment.
Yes.
So Sophie and the Witch of the Waste meet with Suleiman, who is the king's head sorceress and magical advisor. And she punishes the Witch of the Waste by draining her of her power, which reduces her to a harmless old woman.
Oh, she's basically like senile.
Yeah. So kind of this like evil, malicious figure is basically kind of inept now.
Yes.
Like she can barely speak. So Suleiman tells Sophie that she will do the same thing to Howl if he doesn't join the war. And she also deduces Sophie's true relation to Howl and Sophie's romantic feelings for him and the fact that she's not his mother.
Yes. In the time between Sophie arriving at the castle and Sophie going to the royal palace in Howl's place, we can see the bond between Sophie and Howl kind of develop a little bit more. And we see also like Howl kind of more as a character. So again, Howl is very good looking, but Sophie kind of like takes care of him in a very like nagging way, which again is a bit more apt to the book. In the book, Howl is way whinier and immature and kind of like, I hate to be like bitchy, but he is to Sophie. He's kind of like a little bit of a complainer, and Sophie is like super tough and like puts him in his place, and like they kind of have this like back and forth dynamic.
I see. Okay.
But in the movie, it's way more kind of like a romantic relationship that's blossoming.
Very much so.
So just at that moment, Howl arrives and rescues Sophie. Suleiman tries to trap Howl, but with Sophie's help, they all escape and they take the Witch of the Waste with them.
Yes. A bit of time passes at the castle, and now the Witch of the Waste is just kind of chilling there.
She's like their new like roommate,
And
basically.
she's basically a pet. Like she's
She's
not
literally
a person.
is not a person. And keep in mind, the Witch of the Waste was in love with Howl. They had a relationship years ago, like years and years ago. Howl kind of ghosted her. And so I don't think she even realizes she's in Howl's house.
No. Sophie grows closer to Howl, Calcifer, and Markle. She also learns that Howl transforms into a bird-like creature and will travel off to interfere in the war. But each transformation into this creature makes it more difficult for him to return to human form.
Yes. And pretty soon there will be a point where he just can't go back. So Howl confesses that he's actually started to develop feelings for Sophie as she has for him.
Even though she appears as a 90-year-old woman, Howl is finding himself starting to care for her.
I do find it important to note that Howl, I think, knows that Sophie is under a curse. There's a moment where Sophie is asleep, and I guess when she's sleeping, her curse turns off. I don't know.
Or he's able to see through it in some moment.
Because she reverts back to her normal self, and Howl sees her.
Yes.
So I think he knows, and I also think he knows that I mean, I'm kind of getting ahead, so I don't want to spoil anything. I think he knows that it's the same Sophie who he saved earlier in the film.
You're probably right.
So he magically links the castle to Sophie's home and parks the castle itself outside the outskirts of her town. However, Sophie's town is bombed by enemy aircrafts and Solomon's soldiers attack Sophie's hat shop. Howl leaves to go fight. Sophie, trying to protect everyone, removes Calcifer from the fireplace, which then causes the castle to collapse, because keep in mind, he has been powering it. And I feel like now is the best time to talk about the theme of war in this movie.
I mean, classic Miyazaki. It's a super anti-war film.
Yes. So, little history lesson. The film before Howl's Moving Castle was Spirited Away, which was nominated and won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. Miyazaki very famously refused to go to the ceremony, and I'm pretty sure refused the Oscar, period.
Yeah.
And it was because of the U.S. invasion in Iraq. So that was a very big, controversial thing. The book, Howl's Moving Castle, is not about war, even a little bit.
I see. Okay.
So that's where, the biggest difference between the movie and the book come in. And this movie is a direct
This is
call
an
out.
explicit anti-war film.
Yes, and it once again is a direct call out specifically of the U.S. invasion in Iraq in the early 2000s. So Miyazaki once again just has that dog in him and literally does not give a fuck. He cares so much about not only his craft, but he doesn't care. He refuses to be a sellout. He refuses to have his voice shut down. He's fuck you. I'm going to make a movie that calls out your country for bombing another country, and I'm going to make $1 million doing it. So it was the biggest middle finger to America ever. And that's why I love him. The town is in ruins. Howl is off fighting. The castle has collapsed. The former Witch of the Waste grabs Calcifer because she discovers that Calcifer is... Wait, am I spoiling?
We're getting... Basically, the Witch of the Waste can kind of sense in this moment that Calcifer is linked to the castle.
And therefore linked to Howl.
Yes. And we do find out in a moment that... And Howl has referred to the fact that he doesn't have a heart early in the film. And I think Sophie kind of thinks he's being dramatic.
Yes, he's called the boy with no heart or something.
Yes. And we learn very soon he actually doesn't have a heart. He gave it to Calcifer, and that's how they're bonded.
Yes.
So the Witch of the Waste is kind of able to deduce this in this moment, and she grabs Calcifer, and in doing so sets herself on fire.
Obviously, because he's a fire demon. Sophie then pours water onto her, which douses Calcifer and makes him lose his magic. The castle breaks apart, and Sophie kind of just falls down into this little chasm.
Yeah, and separated from everybody else.
Yes, it's looking pretty bleak for her.
When she lands, Sophie sees a vision from the past, which is a young Howl catching a falling star who she recognizes as Calcifer and giving him his heart. And Sophie then calls for them to find her in the future. So when Howl references that they've met before.
And that he's been looking for her.
Yes, this is how he saw her.
Yes, and it's one of those things where you're like, oh, it's all coming together. That scene is gorgeous, by the way. The shooting stars. I love the sound they make when they hit that it's first of all, the music makes this movie.
It's such great music.
Joe Hisaishi, who has done almost all, if not every single one of Miyazaki's work.
Really? I didn't know. I mean, the music in Miyazaki's films is always
I know
incredible.
He did Princess Mononoke. I'm 99% sure he did Totoro. And it's a partnership that has lasted multiple films. And it is fucking gorgeous in this movie.
Stunning. You really can't divorce the music from the film. I'm kind of hearing it in my head as we're talking about
that
it.
merry-go-round theme is gorgeous. So when she returns to the present, Sophie reunites with Howl and the others. She kind of figures out how to break Howl's curse and Calcifer's curse. She restores Howl's heart, which is Calcifer. which revives him and frees Calcifer from this bond. So now he can just go back to being a fire demon. Though he decides to stay with Hal and Sophie. Sophie's curse is also broken. And when Sophie then kisses Turniphead, who's kind of just been jamming the whole movie.
Turniphead, the little bouncy scarecrow, he's been around.
He's kind of accompanied them, just like almost like how the Witch of the Waste has.
Yeah.
So Sophie gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he transforms, revealing himself to be the missing prince from the country that this war has started.
Yeah, so he's just been under a curse as well and has been trapped in the scarecrow form. And he reveals that while only true love's kiss could break his curse, and he has fallen in love with Sophie, he knows that Sophie loves Howl. And he's like, I'm actually just going to go back and like end the war.
Yeah. So the film then closes on Sophie, Howl, and the others traveling over the countryside in a new castle. This one now flies. And as they soar away, Howl and Sophie share a very loving kiss on the balcony of the castle, and that's how the movie ends.
It's a beautiful ending
to
a
very
beautiful
sweet
film.
I will say, though, sometimes I saw this TikTok, and I can't remember who made it, so sorry, but this guy was like, every time I watch a Studio Ghibli film, I'm like, hell yeah. I don't really know what happened, but hell yeah.
I mean, I love how consistently in Miyazaki's films, he just kind of refuses to explain the magic system.
Right. Like, can you explain Sophie's curse?
No.
How the fuck does it get broken?
No one knows. There's lots of like, a lot of people have ideas on how it got broken, but it kind of just seems like it just ends.
Yeah, I think the biggest like argument is how Sophie is kind of like a wallflower that kind of is very like passive, and how when she kind of takes action and has to like fight, that is how her curse breaks. But like they literally never explain it.
No, I personally really like that because you're just thrown into this world and forced to accept the things that you see. And I prefer that to over explanation.
I think I'm with you. I prefer to over explanation, which I also think is something in anime because like sometimes they are feeding you information so heavily. I prefer that. However, I will say, especially with Studio, like a Spirited Away too.
Spirited Away is like a big one.
Yeah, like you're watching, you're like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Like I don't really know what's happening, but I always say Studio Ghibli is you're here for a good time, not a long time.
It's like, vibes.
It's really just a vibe.
I mean, I love this film. This was a childhood favorite, and this remains a favorite into adulthood.
Oh yeah,
I just think it's great. This is a movie where if I ever have a kid, I would be so excited to watch it with them for the first time and like see a child experience this world.
I actually last year when like during the school year when I was teaching, I showed a lot of my students Studio Ghibli movies, and I was going to show them Howl's Moving Castle, but I was like,
maybe a little dark at points.
I don't know what it's rated.
It's PG, I believe.
Okay, I showed them Totoro because it's rated G, so I was like, that is the safest
Totoro
option.
is a safe,
it's
will
also,
not disturb anyone.
Again, my favorite movie.
There's some imagery, which is again why I quite like Studio Ghibli, and also why I loved Roald Dahl when I was a kid. I love things that are fantastical with a darker undercurrent.
A little bit disturbing.
There is some imagery in Howl's Moving Castle that's creepy.
Oh my God. How about when Howl is like in his monster form?
Yeah. And Sophie has a nightmare about his monster form kind of overtaking him. And the imagery is genuinely very eerie.
There's also, again, like a large theme in this story is war. And there's all these like monsters that fight in the war. There's also this, we didn't really touch on it, but in Howl's castle, he has these like different portals. And one of the portals is just like this black void.
Yeah.
And it's a little spooky.
I am of the opinion that kids are more attuned to darkness than we think.
Totally.
Like even just looking back on, reading and watching things like Matilda or Goosebumps.
Oh, I used to love Goosebumps. Like love.
Like I don't I'm of the opinion that children's media doesn't always have to be bright and happy. Things can be a little stranger or a little more offbeat. And I think that, I mean, at least I know when I was a kid, I liked that stuff.
I totally agree with you with like kids content today. And it's something that I think like parents today really need to like get over that hill.
Your kid understands more than you think.
Parents, you got to get over it. Like read your kids Roald Dahl, show your kids Studio Ghibli. Like it's okay. And it's important that they experience stories like that.
I strongly, strongly agree.
Yeah. So start with Howl's Moving Castle. It's a great film. It's not inappropriate.
And this is back when they actually made family films. Because I get today, and we've discussed this before, today it seems like a lot of PG or G movies are made specifically to entertain children with no real thought to the parents that are accompanying their children to the theater. Really, in the 2000s and earlier, they didn't make those kinds of films. They made family films. They made movies that the whole family could sit and actually enjoy. I can guarantee that not a single parent like loved the Emoji Movie, but I'm sure kids liked it. I don't get, why are we discounting the actual like ticket buyers when making children's films? There are so many incredible films that are completely appropriate for children, but that can be enjoyed by older audiences.
It's such a lost art today.
It really is. And seeing kids animation be so layered and complex and beautiful just was wonderful to see, because I feel like I haven't in a really long time. I would give Howl's Moving Castle a 9.
I think I'm going to do like 8.59. Like
So
basically
fair.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a great movie. Not my favorite, but in my top 5 Studio Ghibli.
Big time. I think I would go probably my second favorite. Spirited Away is my favorite.
Gotcha.
I'd go maybe Howl second, but things shift constantly.
I
Depends
know.
on whatever
It depends
one
on the
I watch
mood.
next.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of feeling like doing a little like Studio Ghibli tonight.
Right?
Yeah. I might put on like Castle in the Sky or something.
Oh, that's
like
a good one.
But yeah, so favorite episode is over already.
Flew by.
I know.
But yeah, no, this was a really fun one. I really enjoyed all the movies we watched. Very, very different. Very cool. Would recommend all.
And like, I can't even express, you guys, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg
When it comes to
anime movies. Like, again, we did one Ghibli movie. Like, they have like 10.
Yeah.
And all of them are really amazing. And, you know, Satoshi Kon, we did one of his films. He's got like banger after banger. There's
Paprika
so
is like
many.
next on my watch list.
Yeah, Paprika, again, Tokyo Godfathers, especially around Christmas time.
Okay,
Watch that.
okay.
But like, there are so many, even like some of the most famous anime movies we didn't even touch, like Your Name or like Weathering with You. There's such a stigma around it that people just need to get over. I was one of you.
But don't close yourself off to a whole new world of stories.
Yeah, especially if you like movies and you like reading and you like TV, like you are limiting yourself in so many ways.
100% agree. No, this was a good week.
Yeah.
And if you want to watch along with us, next week we'll be covering superhero movies. We're going to be watching Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. It's my favorite movie of all time. I'm going to be insufferable.
Olivia is going to speak for like 5 hours.
Oh, you have no idea. We're also watching Batman, the 1989 version that Tim Burton did.
Yes, the like OG Batman.
The OG Batman, often credited as the first blockbuster, and Kick-Ass.
Yes,
We're going a little non-traditional with our superhero overview.
We tried to stay away from Marvel and like DC, kind of this whole new universe, because we really just, I felt like I don't know, I think we felt like it was unfair to like pick one when it's such a like convoluted world that it lives in.
100%.
Like, I think it would be weird if we did like, you know, the
Endgame,
Avengers,
and then would have to like explain all that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so we thought we'd go just like a slightly more unconventional route than your typical superhero fare, and I'm really excited for that episode.
I'm so excited. I love superhero movies.
Me too. But yeah, so thank you for watching or listening, depending on what medium you're on. And I hope to see you again soon.
That's all for this episode.
Bye. I'm
Bye.
Olivia.
I'm Maggie.